Hello, my name is Toye, and I'm finishing a speech for my speech class at Saginaw Valley State University on the topic of the existence of God. So, does God exist? Or is evolution true? The scientists have explained that the universe came into existence in a tiny proton-sized ball of matter, simultaneously combusted and exploded to create the universe that we know today. They teach that God cannot exist because that would have meant that he has always been, or always existed. And our human brains tell us that nothing has always been here. Nothing has always existed. There's always a beginning, and there's always an end. But if you turn that question around and ask, well, where would that tiny proton-sized ball of matter that started the beginning of time come from? The answer would be, well, it's always been, or chemicals and outer space had always been. So if it is why is it any less reasonable to believe that God has always been if matter has always been? Just a starting thought. I really want you to listen to what I have to say today, because if there is a God, he definitely plays a large role in our life, and we should give this subject full attention for him. There is a God in heaven, and he created the universe. I'm credible to talk about this subject. I've gone to church my entire life and learned about this. I've done research in the library for this speech. In preview of what I'm going to be talking about, first, I want to show some of the flaws in the theory of evolution. Second, I want to prove that God created the universe, and he's the reason we're here today. And third, I want to talk about the Bible and how it helps to prove God's existence as well. First, the flaws of evolution. Consider the cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. For every effect, there must be a cause, and the effect must be adequately large enough to suit that cause. Example: say you are in your kitchen eating with your brother, and all of a sudden, your cup flies across the room at 50 miles an hour, and smashes up against the wall and shatters into a million pieces. You just look back and say, what happened? What caused that? And your brother tells you, oh, there was no cause. It just happened. Cups just do that sometimes. Well, we look at him like he's crazy. But because we know that every cause, such as a glass flying across the room, has to have an effect. But suppose that he said, well, there was a small housefly landed on that cup, and it catapulted it across the room at 50 miles per hour, causing it to shatter against the wall. Now, is that more reasonable? Because there was a cause before the effect, but you can agree that that would not be an adequate cause for the effect, because it's not large enough or powerful enough to cause the effect. What I'm getting at is a tiny proton-sized ball of matter is not large enough, not powerful enough to cause the universe to come into existence. I got that example off Kyle Buck's debate on God's existence. The scientists say it is ignorant and superstitious to believe that God made everything out of nothing, but it is logical and scientific to say that nothing made everything out of nothing. It just doesn't add up if you really think about it. The scientific law of biogenesis states that life arises from pre-existing life, not from non-living material. From the book Otis Gatewood wrote called There Is a God in Heaven, he discusses, where did the first life come from? If you get down to it, it would have to come from non-life if evolution is true. And this little side note, have you ever seen anything orderly come from an explosion? Think of the big demolition crews that come through and like plant dynamite in the buildings and they explode. What do you get from that? Well, you get the exact opposite from orderly, which is chaos. Atomic bomb comes through, you don't expect you expect chaos, not order. So how could an explosion at the beginning of time send everything into perfect existence like it is today? It really does not add up. There are many ancient cave drawings of dinosaurs which were drawn by humans. What I'm getting at with this would prove that humans and dinosaurs coexisted. If they coexisted, that would go completely against the long line of evolution. But if you think about the cave drawings, that you can find plenty of these online. How could they have been there? How could these early humans have drawn dinosaurs with humans if they had not seen them personally? We didn't start digging them up until years later and finding them. And also, dinosaurs are described in the Bible in Job chapter 39, if you'd like to read about that. Well, on to my next point. Now that I have talked about evolution and its flaws, I will now discuss that God created the universe, and it is not a coincidence. First, the universe is just far too complex to not have a designer, if you really think about it. Just take something like the Earth's atmosphere, for instance. It is the perfect amount of each element so that we can breathe, so that animals can live and plants can grow. Any other body in the solar system or outer space, anywhere else, that cannot happen because there's no atmosphere that we can breathe on. And it's just perfect. It's a perfect little coincidence. Now we have water so that we can all live. We have to have water. If you think about the human brain, we process millions of messages per second, better than the fastest computer that man has ever made. The Earth moves at 67,000 miles per hour around the sun. That is cruising. And yet we are completely unharmed. We're spinning, and I don't understand it, but it is not a coincidence. Book from Stephen Rogers, Do You Know God Exists? I got this piece of information. The Earth is precisely 93 million miles away from the sun. And it revolves in that perfect circle. If we were any closer to the sun, we would burn up. If we were any farther away, we would freeze to death. Also, the Earth spinning, it spins in order to perfectly warm and cool its surface in the cycle of a 24-hour day, which helps it not to freeze and burn up as well. And these things are just far too complex, far too perfect. But I have many more examples, but I need to move on. Now that I have argued that God created the universe and there is nothing coincidental about it, I will now discuss how the Bible helps to prove God's existence. The Bible is the Word of God sent down to mankind. First, there are absolutely no contradictions in the Bible. There are zero. Over 40 different men over a period of 1,500 years wrote the Bible, and I said there were no contradictions. People try to find contradictions in the Bible all the time. However, they take verses out of context and use them improperly. When carefully studied, you look at the Bible in different places, and you're truthful in your head, you will find that there are no contradictions in the Bible. I challenge anyone out there to find one. Write me if you know how or whatever. There are no contradictions in the Bible because God is perfect. Secondly, the Bible contains information that man did not know until later times. What are you talking about, Travis? Well, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22 says, It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. Well, it seems to me that we didn't know the earth was circle until thousands of years after that, when Christopher Columbus sailed, or whatever, 1492. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 16. And the channels of the sea appeared. What does that mean? Well, there are ocean currents in the sea, and we now use those to help our boats travel faster through the ocean. And actually, this was found by a man who looked in the Bible and went searching for these channels, and he found them. And that's magnificent to me. Job 37, verse 9. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and the cold out of the north. And we now know this. All the meteorologists, the weather men know that the cold air comes out of the north, and vice versa. Those are just some interesting facts. I will conclude.